We got ourselves a $61 guitar on TEMU. Is it worth it? Ooh, man. This one's a tough cookie. It needs a lot, and I mean a lot of setup. Like everything. The verdict is still out on this one. Let's get to it. Yo! Check it out. We're back here with another episode of Legacy Grooves. I'm Gooch, and today we're gonna review another guitar that we bought off of TEMU for 60 bucks. I mean, man, $60 guitar? I can't wait to see what's in this box. Let's go ahead and bust up into this box and see what it looks like, all right? Let's do it. All right, here's the moment of truth. Let's see what it looks like. So yeah, it looks like it's packaged pretty well. There's no crazy damage inside the box or anything. Let's go ahead and pull it out of here. Okay, I can tell what this is. I remember what it is now. All right, so let's go ahead and look at what we got here. It is a Glarry guitar. Offset body guitar. Check that out. What do you think? I think it looks pretty nice. Kind of a classic look. Looks like I'm about to throw some surf rock on this thing back in the 60s or something. Very cool. So I'll tell you the first things that I see with this guitar. The first thing I see is the saddles here. The saddles are raised at maximum and even past maximum height. Like some of the screws, the set screws are like all the way even through the whole saddle, right? I don't even know how they're just barely holding on. So that's gotta be addressed, okay? You don't want those maxed out because it's causing the strings at the bridge to be really high, like really, really high off of the body of the guitar. And you lose some, some sound to the bridge pickup. Although you can raise the pickup, this is still super high. We need it to be lower. It also causes some issues here where the strings are coming across the neck higher here. You could lower it, but for some reason they don't. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if the neck's like at a weird angle or something, or if you got too much bow. I'm not sure. And then you have the nut here. The nut is cut like super, super high. I mean, like the distance between the top of the nut and the bottom of the in the top of the fretboard is like really high. So when you press, I don't know if you can hear that. I could bend the strings just by pushing harder on the string down. Not bending it like, this way. I'm pushing it down and it's making it like bend. That's not really what you want up there. So the nut's gotta be addressed. The nut is like a cheaper plastic nut. So, if I'm gonna be doing some work on this guitar, I'm gonna probably toss the cheap plastic nut and put a bone nut. Just because it's, in my opinion, better for these guitars. It's just, bone nuts and stuff like that make a difference in the sound, the tone, the sustain, stuff like that. The other issue is that these tuning pegs, the tuning pegs were super stiff. A couple of them are not, but a couple of them are like super stiff, and when you twist it, it's barely changing any sound quality in it, or sound, tuning. So if I was keeping this guitar, that's an upgrade you might want to think about, is changing out the tuning machines to get a better quality version of this. And that'd be something that I would probably want to do to this guitar. I'm not sure what's going on. There's a couple of weird finishes, finishing problems. If you can see here, it's like they scratched right through the rosewood. There's a few scratches in it. And I noticed a couple of blemishes like along the fretboard as well, or something happened here. It looks like maybe it filled it with something. I'm not sure, like a knot or something was in the wood. And also this pickup here has a gash like right across the pickup here. There's a gash like right through it, which I don't think that changes anything with the quality of the pickup, if it works or not. But I mean, if you're wanting a guitar to sound and look cool, then you don't want it to come right out of the box with like finish problems, Those are things that you want to be brand new when it comes out of the box, and no scratches and blemishes and problems like that. Also, these strap buttons are like super loose. I could probably pull it right out if I wanted to. We're not sure what's going on in here yet. So there's a few issues that I see with this guitar, which they could all be fixed, but they're gonna take some skill and some know-how how to do it. So if you're buying this guitar for a beginner, or if you are a beginner and you're buying this guitar, just be prepared to do a little work to make it, playable. It can be a playable guitar. It's just gonna take a little bit of extra work to do it. Okay, let's get these strings on. I'm just gonna start removing some of these parts off of here, and we'll remove the bridge just totally. That way we won't have to worry about the strings being in the way. I want to see what's going on under there anyway, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so we just removed the screws from the pick guard. Let's see what we got underneath the hood of this dude. It's all probably usable things. We just need to see what it looks like. Here is that. Let's see what we got. So this is the 3-way selector switch. This is kind of like the style you would see on a Gibson style guitar. I'm not sure if Fender used these at some point or not, but this isn't a Fender, so I'm not too worried about that. It's got the small miniature potentiometers, these small guys. Input jack. The neck pickup. It's got some marking on it, but it looks like it's an Asian marking of some sort. Like it's definitely Asian writing. I'm not familiar with what that says or anything there. So it's the first time I've actually seen one of these with that writing on there, which that's cool. I like these, although they're I probably want to turn them a little bit, but I don't hate anything about this, right? So if I was going to upgrade this guitar, I would switch out this stuff. I would switch out the pickups. There's something going on with the neck angle here. We need to see if we need to put a shim. Let's take a look down the old neck and see what we got. Okay, so you can see some air on this end if you hold it here, or if I hold it real tight here, you can see air over here. So there's a bow going this way. So we need to adjust the truss rod here to make it flat. Also, I noticed that these frets are super gnarly. Like they need to be polished. There needs to be some dressing on the edges here because they're sharp on the edges. They're not super comfortable to play. When I was running the cloth across it, it was ripping shreds of cloth off. This guitar shredding, but not the kind of shredding you want an electric guitar to do. So we gotta fix that. Okay, we're gonna call that good. It's nice and flat now. Now we can test to see if the frets are rocking. We gotta do a fret level job. This thing is as flat as an iron. So we got that part figured out. Next thing we gotta do is recrown each fret. They get to flat. Once you flatten these parts out, it makes the top flat. We need to make it round again. You want to have just a tiny amount touching the strings instead of a big flat plateau up there. So we gotta recrown it. Let's do that. Now it's time to polish the frets. We flattened everything out and we recrowned everything and hit it up to where there's no more scratch marks on it. So now it's time to polish everything out and make it look real sharp. Ooh, those are silky smooth. I can see my reflection in those. Edges are still kind of sharp right in this corner where the wood meets the metal. It's not like cutting me up or anything, but it's not super comfortable to play, so we're just gonna take those little edges off just slightly. We'll use a little file for that. Now we had the frets polished. Fret job is looking pretty sweet. I mean, the frets are smooth as glass. There's still something going on with the neck angle, right? So we're gonna put the bridge back on, and then we're gonna put a straight edge on it to see what's going on. If we need to put a shim to make the angle of the neck a little different. Let's try that. It's laying on the frets up here, flat, and then it's hidden the bridge here, but there's a whole lot of air here. You know, you kind of want that to be not like that, if you know what I'm saying. Before we get too far, we got to replace the nut. This is the plastic nut that came with it that was damaged. It was loose. Something was wrong with it. Upon closer inspection, I think they had cut the nut all wrong on this, and there was a sliver of like rosewood or walnut they had like glued into it to make it like the right distance or something. It's pretty whack. The whole nut situation up there is pretty whack. I'm not loving it. You can see how it's discolored there. That is where they had glued another piece of rosewood in there, in this little section here. And that's why the nut chipped out when I was working on it. Just chipped out like no pressure, chipped it. What we're gonna do is get rid of the fender style nut that has like a slot that it slides in, and we're gonna use like an end cap nut. So we'll file this down flat on the edge here. You can see what I'm talking about. where it's cracked there. We're gonna file that down flat, and we're gonna glue this in place, kind of like how a Gibson is set up, or like an acoustic guitar has that same nut profile. They work perfect. In this case, I think it's what we need to do. Ever smell a bone being cut? It does not smell pleasant. We got something going on with this guitar, and I got a sneaky suspicion that it's the same problem that we had with the other guitar we bought from TEMU. I think the neck is too long for the scale length that it is. We need to take some measurements to see where we're at. This style guitar is in the line of like a Fender Duosonic or a Fender Bronco. There should be a 24-inch scale. So 24 inches from the nut to the saddle. It should be 24 inches. Let's take our trusty ruler here and see where we're at. So we're gonna go from the edge of the saddle to the nut. We're rocking 24.5 inches, which ain't what it's supposed to be. And just so we can confirm that this is the right scale that we're working with, I've got a real vintage 1967 Fender Bronco we're gonna bust out to make sure that that scale length is correct. Let's do that right now. Here it is. Real deal, vintage 67 Fender Bronco. Let's take it out and see what the scale length is on this one. Check this bad boy out. Let's do a side by side. This guitar here that we got from TEMU is mimicking the original guy from Fender. Look at the body shape, everything. The only difference is this has got one single coil pickup in the bridge, and this has two humbuckers. But which I don't know that Fender ever made this variation back in the day, but I'm sure they make it now. All kinds of different variations of this style guitar from back in those days. Okay, the moment of truth. We're gonna take our trusty ruler and we're gonna place it on the saddles and measure to the nut. Let's do that. The middle of the saddle to the nut. And guess what we're rolling with? 24 inches. The scale length is a 24-inch guitar in this guitar, and what Glarry was trying to do was make a 24-inch scale on the other guitar. They didn't quite hit the mark for some reason. So I think what we need to do is shave the neck down like we did in that last TEMU guitar to make it fit that proper length, okay? Let's go ahead and do that. I'll also make a note that these screws were not perpendicular to the wood. It was like at an angle. They were like driven in at like a slight angle into each hole. I mean, I don't know if you see it, but they're not flat, which that's not supposed to be like that either. So we have to address that too. I'm almost certain that the other TEMU guitar we did was a Glarry because they had the same shape for the headstock, and they also had the same problem with the neck being like a half inch too long. And also it looks like they like hand shaped the heel, like they chiseled it out with like hammer and chisel or something. It's not, they didn't use like a router or CNC machine or anything. It's like a hand cut that way or sanded. Like maybe they just put it on like a sander and just hit it. But it's got the same problem. I mean, the same exact issue that the other one had. I mean, it looks exactly the same problem. So that's something that we need to fix, okay? We got to reduce the length of this and also shape that heel a little bit cleaner. It's like here, it's like really sharp in this corner and then really round over here. It just, there's all kinds of quality issues with this guy here. So, but they can all be fixed. You just gotta have the tools and know how to do it. So, all right, here we go. Safety first. Do it. This guitar needed a lot of work. Well, you know what? We got the skills and the knowledge knowing how to do it, so we can make this guitar pretty sweet. After all this work, I don't think I want to leave this thing stock either. I think I want to put some sweet pickups in here, change out the electronics. I mean, might as well, we're already in neck deep in this bad boy, so let's go ahead and go all the way. Let's see if this guitar neck fits now. This is the moment of truth. Look at what we did. We took that last fret off and basically had to sand it all the way back down to where that fret was at. So that heel now looks the way it's supposed to. And let's see if it fits. All right. Let's measure. It should be 24 inches. From here to here. And guess what? It is. It's almost like I knew what I was doing. Almost. Let's go ahead and start putting the guitar body back together, and then we're gonna take this pit guard off and swap these out for something a little more special. I don't even want to know what they sound like. If the neck had all those issues, I can already tell you they're not gonna sound fantabulous, so we gotta get rid of them. We're gonna put something sweet in here, and I think I got just the thing. We'll do that last. First of all, let's put the guitar body and the neck back together, and then we'll dig into the electronics. Let's go all the way on this one. These are super cool pickups. These come from a place on eBay called Guitar Madness. Shout out to Guitar Madness. I bought several pickups from Guitar Madness, and they've all been great. So I've bought a lot of pickups from these guys, and I have not been let down. Everything I've gotten from them has been great. Ran into another situation. These are meant for standard size humbuckers. I mean, you know, every issue you can run into with this guitar, we ran into. These are like a little bit smaller than a standard humbucker. I could take the plates off of these and they would fit, but I like the chrome look. It looks cool. I don't want to lose that. So we're gonna need to end up routing this a little bit to make them fit, which isn't exactly awesome. So now that we got the peg guard cut out for the humbuckers, we're gonna go ahead and start soldering all this up, putting the electronics back together, and we're gonna get this guitar back in action. Let's do it. All right, now we got our pig guard cut out to fit an actual humbucker. I'm not sure what was up with the other, but they were not meant for an actual humbucker size. So now they are. We're gonna go ahead and start putting this pig guard together and soldering all the pieces together, all the new electronics. And this should be ready to rock and roll. So let's do it. Okay, this guitar was a bugger. There was a lot of issues with this guitar. I mean, every possible thing that could be wrong with a guitar, this bad boy had it. So I think now it is set up to perfection. So what we need to do at this point is go plug it in and see what it sounds like. All right, we finished putting the guitar together. We got it all tuned up, and we're gonna test it here and see what it sounds like. So we're gonna roll with the bridge pickup first. And we're gonna go to the combo between the neck and the bridge, and then we'll do just the neck. And this is a semi-clean sound here. So let's see what it sounds like. All right, now we're gonna roll through this. We're gonna put a little backing track on it, and we'll see what it sounds like with some drums and bass. Here we go. Guitar sounds really good. The pickups sound phenomenal on it, and this guitar is super fun to play. Its CL length is a little bit shorter than a typical like Strat or even a Gibson like Les Paul, so it makes the strings like super easy to bend, and it's a fun guitar to play. After all the work we had to do to this guitar,
I'm actually super stoked about it. It turned out really good. It took a ton of work to get it to this point, but I believe it paid off in the end. If you're willing to put in the time and the effort it takes to make this guitar playable, it's worth it. It does take a lot of time and a lot of work, but it can be a cool guitar. For my 2 cents, in the end, it was worth it. It was a long journey to get there, but we got there, and it sounds great. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Tell me if you think this guitar sounds good, if it looks cool, if you would play it, let me know. I really want to thank you for watching this episode of Legacy Grooves.